Hey guys, we're back with another video. Meet the Simmons.
Yes.
Here today we have a video that is a little bit outside of our norm, but it's something that we really need to discuss because we're seeing a lot of it in relationships. So here we go.
Years old when you had your daughter?
Yes, Judge Rhonda. I was 10 years old. I was a victim of a molestation. I was also threatened that if I told anybody, he would kill my family. So I just kept it a secret, thinking that maybe it would just be over. But I was pregnant and didn't know it until 2 weeks before she was born.
At what point did you realize at 10 years old that you were going to have a baby?
My mother was concerned. My stomach wasn't getting big, but it was hard. And she kept trying to make me do exercises and things of that nature, thinking that I was just gaining weight. So when I didn't lose the weight, she took me to the doctor to see what was going on. And that's when he told her that Sharita would be here in 2 weeks.
You?
Wow. So I know you guys are probably thinking like, well, what's it got to do with relationships? It has a lot to do with relationships. It's time we have a discussion about this type of thing happen to children, but let's go specifically to our community. These things happen a lot in our community, and they're not talked about. They're swept up under the rug because most people don't know what to do or what to say about them. But I want to kind of be honest about something. Most times when you hear this type of thing talked about, it's talked about with a young lady, that it happened to a young lady. And it's unfortunate and it's sick that it happened to a young lady, but there are a lot of you men out there that this has happened to. And it's not just from the uncle that it's in the back room that they slide food up under the door. It's from an auntie. It's from a sister. It's from a family friend. Cousin, babysitter. How do I know this? Well, after coaching and mentoring men for a very, very long time, I've heard that story over and over and over again from men. And you know why it resounds so well with me? Because I'm one of them. I was inappropriately touched by a female babysitter when I was between 5 and 7 years old. And I blacked it out. Didn't really understand what was happening to me. She would withhold food from me. She would make me do things, and if I didn't do those things, then I wouldn't get food. I wouldn't get, I would be locked. I would be tied up. Things like that would happen to me. And I didn't realize what had fully happened to me till I was well into my 20s. I was married with kids before I really was able to process what would happen, but by then the damage was done. Had a full-on addiction to porn. Can't say it on YouTube, but you know what I mean. Struggle with my weight and struggle with my controlling my eating because what was done to me, I was forced to do things for food. So those things happen. And my parents didn't know. I came from a great home. They didn't know. My parents did not know, and I didn't tell my parents until right before my first book was set to come out. And for you ladies that think I just go in on women, I wrote a whole book addressing negative male behaviors. So
good.
It's down the link.
Oh,
It's
yes.
the link down the
Read the
description.
book, please.
Please read it, men, ladies. But it affected my marriage. It affected my relationship. I did not know what was going on with me. I couldn't understand it, so I had to get some help. And I would encourage anybody, but especially my brothers out there that have went through this, because it's this thing and I'm going to bring you in a second here. There's a thing in our community where men are supposed to just take it. You're supposed to just deal with it, push it down, and don't discuss it, because that's a rite of passage. It's not a rite of passage, and it has affected you. You might not see it right now, brother, but I'm telling you, it's affected you, and it's affecting your relationships. It's affecting the way you view women. It's affecting the way you're progressing in life. It's affecting you as a father. It's affecting you as a husband. I promise you it is. I promise you it is. I've been there. And so there's a lot of guilt and shame that goes along with it. And so I would really encourage you, if something like that did happen to you, men and women, please go get help. You can't get through this thing alone. You can't just push it down. You got to deal with it. So for you as my wife, when you found out, when I finally told you, when I realized what happened to me, what was your first reaction?
I was the one that identified what had happened because you really didn't connect it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, it was when we were watching the Antoine Fisher movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that was how it came out in our marriage. So we were watching the Antoine Fisher movie, and if anyone has ever seen it, he has a similar situation that happens in the movie. Like certain things happen, and he's well. And then that's when my husband was like, that kind of happened to me. And he kind of said it offhandedly. And I was like, what did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of happened to me. Pause. What do you mean that kind of happened to you? What do you mean kind of? So then he tells me what happened. I'm bawling. I'm a hot mess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, are you serious? All of that happened to you? Well, what did your parents do? Well, I didn't tell them. They don't know. So I had to process that. And then even with the corn addiction, there were times when I would notice certain things like on our laptop at the time. And I'm like, yo, what is this on here? Did you do that? You would deny it. Because you didn't want me to know. You felt ashamed. You didn't want me to know. Once I found out that you actually did have a addiction, it hurt because I felt like you lied to me. And I felt a bit betrayed. So I had to process that. Then as a woman, I had to go through the whole gamut of, well, am I not enough? Is that what you really want? Are you just settling for me, but your fantasies are bigger than, So I had to process my own insecurities and kind of deal with it as well. But then after much prayer, kind of thinking like, dang, how am I going to get through this?
I think even as like you getting your degree in psychology,
Yeah.
us becoming life coaches.
Yeah. So all of that
you were
kind of
able
helped.
to kind of understand the psychology behind it. I think that helped a lot too.
Yeah, it was hard to deal with at the time, but it was even harder to know that my sweetheart was hurting. It was harder to know that you went through all that you went through and that you suffered the way that you suffered, and no one was there to really help you through that. Like you were facing all of that alone. And to the point where you had suppressed it and didn't even realize that what really happened. And it was a movie that sparked this whole thing for your path of healing. So I think that was just kind of my side of it.
As I was writing this book, it really came to the surface. A lot of things came to the surface. And I really would encourage you guys to really search yourself. Ladies and men, if something like this happened to you as a child, you can't work through this by yourself. You just can't. You need help. You need to talk to somebody. You need to get this stuff out because it is affecting your current relationships and relationships that you're going to have in the future, and all of your peripheral relationships, relationship with your children, your coworkers, the way you view men, the way you view women. It is affecting you. It may be subconscious on a subconscious level, but it is affecting you.
And can I say this to the ladies? There are a number, you've had some sort of trauma that's happened to you, and you're walking into the relationship with unwanted baggage. You're hurting, you're going through it. And I know you think that you're not affected as well, or you may not be feeling it, but it's causing significant trust issues. So again, like he's saying, for the fellas and for the ladies, we encourage you to please, please, please value yourself enough to go seek the help that you need so that you can move past this. Don't let this be the stumbling block that keeps you from moving forward in all aspects of your life. You deserve to live a life that's full and vibrant and beautiful. And the only way you're going to do that is to push through and to work through all of the trauma that you've experienced. So whether it happened when you were a child, maybe even as an adult, whenever it happened, please, we encourage you, get the help that you need and have no shame about it. Get the help that you need. If you need to get help, get it, because you deserve to be whole.
And finally, just release yourself from the guilt and the shame that comes along with it, because with that happening to you comes a huge amount of guilt and shame. And as human beings, we have the amazing ability to make ourselves be the fault of something that's not our fault. And so you need to tell your partner about it. If you're a married man or a woman, you need to reveal that to them, because that will help them have empathy and sympathy for what you're going through, and compassion, because there are things that you are doing that's connected to this that you don't even know. You have not made the mental and neurological connections to see that this is affecting this and that is connected to that. Promise you, I get it. We are educated in this area and we have experience in this area. You don't know what you don't know. And so I know it's a little bit out of a norm for a video for us.
Yeah.
But we really felt the need when we saw this just to put this out here. So with that,
We love you.
that's enough said.